Get ready for your daily dose of WordPress and web development tips, tricks, and insights to help you find success with WordPress. You're listening to WP the Podcast with your hosts, David Blackman and Tim Streifler.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today in episode 584, we're going to talk about how to be a responsible web developer and not make your clients depend on you. Where'd we get this topic, Tim?
Yeah, so it's two places really. This is something that David and I teach in our course, but it also kind of what prompted this episode specifically was a question that someone was asking in a Facebook group. They're asking, should I add my clients' websites as sub-properties on my Google Analytics account? Because if you're not familiar with Google Analytics, basically you can have your main account and then you can add a bunch of properties. That way you can see, if you have a bunch of websites, all your websites under the same account. And people were answering and saying, yeah, like, why not? I add all my clients as sub-properties and then I create a user for them to go and access their analytics. And essentially what that means is that their analytics is tied to your account. That's a big no-no. And so I chimed in and said, no, like, you need to let your clients own their own data and give you access to it, not the other way around. And so that's kind of what prompted this episode. And again, David and I teach this in our Davy Business course. But essentially what we recommend doing is creating a Gmail account for your client. Even if they're already using Google, create a separate one. That way you have full control over the email. They don't have to send you any login or passwords. Like, for example, I'll make it, say the client is Bob's Plumbing. I'll make it Bob's Plumbing website redesign at gmail.com. And then I'll create his Google Analytics if he doesn't have one, Google Search Console, hosting, Cloudflare, CDN, any accounts that I'm creating for the site, I'll create using that email. Then I can hand that email over to the client. They have full access to all their data, all the accounts, everything, and they don't have to rely on me. They can be a clean break. They're not dependent on me. Nothing's tied to me. They own everything, and they'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it because they're not going to come back to you later asking for one little thing for them to be able to log into their email or whatever. So it gives them control.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started in web design, I had a Bluehost reseller account because I was clueless. So I offered hosting and email, and I'd set up all the email accounts on the hosting, on the reseller account, and didn't use Google Analytics, which is, G Suite, which is what we recommend that you use today. But I was constantly doing tech support, because I had control of all of this stuff, and it was a huge time suck. I wasn't getting paid for it. So absolutely turn everything over, let them own the data. And that way, if they have any issues and they have all of the data, then you can charge them. It's not something that's already built in, baked in, and they just assume that you're going to take care of it and stuff because it's under your accounts. So highly recommend moving things away.
Definitely. And one thing to be clear is we're not saying, like, don't let your clients pay you to maintain their sites. Like, we highly recommend selling maintenance or service agreements so that you are maintaining their stuff. But you don't want everything in your control, like David said, to where they have to go to you for hosting, tech support, or different things like that. Like, if they're going to you for something, make sure it's something that you're getting paid for and that is specifically explicitly included in your maintenance agreement. Otherwise, they shouldn't be going to you for that.
Awesome. Well, Tim, you did a great episode this time, man.
Hey, you had a good story too, my friend.
All right. Tomorrow we've got another great episode. Should you add live chat to your website? Live chat's all the rage, chat bots and, social media and stuff it's been a big thing this year in 2019. And so we decided to discuss whether or not you should add live chat to your website. Tim, until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
We've come to the end of today's episode of WP the Podcast. Join us tomorrow for more daily tips and strategies designed to help you run your WordPress business toward success. Remember to subscribe to WP the Podcast so you can stay up to date with each episode. And don't forget to rate and review us. We'll see you again tomorrow, right here on WP the Podcast.